Morning, guys. Stephen here. I want to talk about Guardiola's press conference last night. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm actually a little bit nervous about doing this video. I am. I've never had my heart race before doing a video before. And I think it's because I actually want to talk about things that actually truly matter. They truly do. And I'm already expecting a barrage of stick to football comments. But I just want to talk about this press conference because I think it's important. I would implore anyone immediately, this isn't a video about football. It just isn't. This is me talking about Pep Guardiola's press conference comments, which were highly politically charged. And this is me sort of reflecting on that because it sort of touched a nerve in me personally where my head's at right now in the world of genuine just very, very downtrodden, very frustrated with where the world's heading and so on. I am not an eloquent person on this subject. I'm not an expert in all these geopolitical natures, but I think the broad strokes that Guardiola is trying to paint should ring true for anyone decent, I think. I would ask people politely, if you're watching this video, don't expect football talk. I'm not really talking about football. I'll mention in passion, of course, but I'd also ask it politely, anyone to watch this before you jump in the comments and maybe attack me or whatever, just to watch the video in its entirety. There's a good chance I'm going to cover the points that you probably say anyway, and take them from the place of honesty, and the intentions here are one of just genuine decency. I am a very simple person. I want people to be happy. And that you might sound a bit crazy, to say in 2026, but I truly just want everyone just to relax and enjoy themselves. If you don't know what I'm on about here, the context of the quotes, I'll go through Guardiola's quotes, talk about them, and talk about what they mean, why Guardiola's talking about it, and just in general, I think it's something that has to be talked about. I don't think this is. I know this is a fan channel where I talk about football, but I do feel some things sort of transcend sport. And if the manager of Manchester City Football Club, one of the most famous people in the sport, arguably the best manager to ever play the game, manages Manchester City, the club that I've been watching since I was a child, has talked so passionately about events of this magnitude, I feel a sort of moral failing to ignore that. And there are lots of different, potential hypocrisies or things you could say that caveat statements of his. I'm aware. I'll try and go through them as many as I can. But I do want to talk about this with honesty and hopefully integrity. So I'll read the quotes first and foremost. Guardiola said, it's not just for the genocide of Palestine. He said, whatever cause that could be bettering humanity for many years, I was wearing open arms, right? Open arms was the badge he was wearing, a political badge, the little ribbon. The people going to the Mediterranean, they're running away from wars, away from their own countries and going to the sea. Don't ask if it's right or wrong, rescue them. It's about human beings. After we can agree or criticise one thing or another, but when people are dying, you have to help. Being alive or protecting life is the only thing that we have. Now it's happening not just in this part of the world, but in every part. What's happened with all the technologies, the advances we have, humanity is better than ever in terms of possibilities. We can reach the moon, do everything, but still right now we kill each other for what? For what? When I see the images, I'm sorry, it hurts me. That's why in every position I can help, speaking up to be a better society. I don't want to change anything, but that's right. I will be there all the time. It's for my kids, my families, for you, all of you, your families, the kids, the family, my players, all the staff, and everyone does whatever he can in his job, his life, his best. And injustice, from my point of view, he said you have to talk. Otherwise, injustice moves on. Look what happened in the USA. Rene Good and Alex Pretty killed. Imagine in the NHS, 5 or 6 people go on the grass, 10 shots. How can you defend that? Something's wrong. Okay, go to a tribunal, sue, go to jail. That's modern society. There's not a perfect society. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I have to work for a better place. A person who goes there, defends a woman surrounded, has been killed. Who can defend that? I'll always be in front of that. He goes on to say more than that. He got asked a question. He said, I appreciate it because in 10 years, the last 2, it's the first time one journalist asked me about that. It looks like you're not allowed to for your work. I don't know. He's saying that football journalists probably aren't allowed to talk about these things, which is usually true. But someone who sees the images happening all around the world and they don't get affected. So it's not a question about right or wrong. Every politician, right wing, left wing, is there someone here that is not affected by what happens every single day? Today we see it, before we could not. It hurts me. For me, it hurts. It would be the opposite side. It would still hurt. If it would harm another country, it hurts. It's not about position. I'm sorry, my feeling you can discuss. When you completely kill thousands of innocent people, it hurts. It's no more complicated. I have a lot of friends and people from many countries, but when you have to kill thousands of innocent people, I'm sorry, I'm standing up, as I always will be there, always. I cannot imagine anyone cannot feel that. When you see the images every single day, the fathers, mothers, kids, what happened, being destroyed, their lives, people could not feel a little touched. I'm sorry, I can feel it. He said, never ever have we had in front of our eyes, watching more clearly than now. Genocide in Palestine, happened in Ukraine, happened in Russia, happened all around the world, in Sudan, everywhere. What happened in front of us? You want to see it? It's our problem as human beings. It's our problem. A lot to unpack, an awful lot to unpack. I'll paraphrase it very simply. I think if Pep somehow finds this, or anyone at City, I'll try to do my best. I apologise if I misquote. But I think the gist of what Guardiola is trying to say is ultimately we've come so far as a species. We can do incredible things. We can split the atom. We can go to the moon. We can create devices that can talk to anyone in a split second from any corner of the world. We can do all these wonderful things. We can do marvelous things. But usually our response to a strong difference of opinion is to bomb each other. And he's saying, as a person with a heart, as a father, as a person who deals with so many families from so many different cultural backgrounds, he's saying that it hurts. And I think that's a fair thing to say. I've already seen people kick back against that. I don't understand. I think we've gone so far. I'm going to get quite emotional during this, actually. I'll try and hold my nerve, because I really care about this as well. We've gone so far as a species that we're so entrenched in our views that we've lost sight of the simplicity of that point. And that's the point I think he's trying to make. And people go, what about the context? I've already had people reply to me this morning on social media saying, what about the context and who started this, who started that? His point is that it should be simpler than that. It should be simpler. There are complexities, but it doesn't have to be that, his point he's making. And I know it's, everyone hold hands and hug stuff. I understand people will always butt heads, but we've got to a point where the normalization or the justifications of killing so many people who are clearly innocent, has become so normal, and that people are used to it, and they switch off and ignore it. I feel so downtrodden by all this. I do, and I think Guardiola, I would guess, has reached a point as well where he feels very similar. Like it's not a controversial opinion. He said it doesn't matter if you're left or right wing. Everyone should be affected at the sight of kids burning in wars. Everyone should be. It is utterly abhorrent to witness, and I found myself getting so irritated recently. I'm a dad these days, I'm a dad. I've got 2 small children. I won't be here forever. Compose yourself, Stephen. Because I think about the world my kids are growing up in. And it really bugs me, and it does. I get frustrated because I think, people just have lost the ability to talk to each other. Deep breaths. And, I'm very tired and sleep deprived for what it's worth. And I think about, I want the world to be a place where people can have difference of opinions and so on. And it's not just this, what we witness online. Like, I was talking to someone this morning online, and the justification for the Palestinian things is, I am not going to wade in on what's wrong or right with a Palestinian, because I don't think I have to, the point I'm making. The Palestine-Israel thing, I'm not even going to talk about that. But I saw someone say the justification for the killing of the children is that they are growing up anti-West. Do you know how absurd that is? People are advocating or excusing or allowing the murder of children in case they grow up terrorists, in case that they get brainwashed by adults. Like, do you know how absurd that is? Or a failure of your conscience of humanity to say that and not feel torn apart in your soul to say that. Like, what is wrong with people? That could be my kids or your kids. You know what I mean? Like, it's utterly fucked up. And, I get frustrated because, like, I'm a tired dad. And it's mad that if you say that, just saying what I've said now, I will get hate for that. I'll get stick for that. And that's the thing he's trying to make. The point he's trying to make is that shouldn't be a controversial opinion, should it? It shouldn't be. Like, how is that a controversial opinion? I understand there are subtleties to all these arguments. I understand. I am like, some people are going to just paint me here as a soft, emotional, lefty liberal, all that kind of stuff. Like, they are going to, but yeah, it's funny because if you ever spoke to me about anything, you'd understand. I wouldn't say I'm conservative, but I'm probably a lot more central-leaning than you realise. I understand the complexities of it. There are people who maybe are swayed by, populism and fascism and whatever. Well, I would view as that on the right now, and voting for things like reform. That's fine. You do what you want. But what I will say to you, is I be wary of the bed that you lie in, because I think it's very obvious to me that there's a lot of people hiding here. Their true intentions. I understand. I actually do understand that. I'm actually sort of a believer. I'm quite a nihilist. As much as I'm an optimistic person, I'm a nihilist. I actually believe that there's some people that will just never get on, and I think accepting that is a mature thing to do. Some people are just never going to get on. There are certain people who believe up is up and down is down, and will feel the opposite. 1 is 1, and some people argue 2 + 2 is 5, and some people argue 2 + 2 is 3, but never agree that 2 + 2 is 4, because they just want to disagree. I think there's an entrenchment and a tribalism that is inherently been born from the internet, social media, where we are forced to choose a side, and we are reinforced of choosing a side by the gamification of the internet, the likes, the interactions, and the urgency and the encouragement to reply and admonish and disagree on these platforms that aren't meant to be social platforms, the platforms for arguing and for disagreeing. And I think what happens is we've got to a situation now where people choose a side, Republicans or Democrats, Tories or Labour, Reform or Greens, iPhone or Samsung, PlayStation or Xbox, Arsenal or City. They choose a side, and the default default position that the internet and the algorithms encourages is entrenchment. It encourages tribalism. It encourages you to switch off any idea that the other person may have a point and entirely focus on your own view. And that's what bugs me, because if you step back and look at it, you can see it. I am drastically trying to cut down my social media use because I can feel my brain being manipulated in the way that we've hacked the consciousness of dogs to train them. I really, truly believe we have been trained. We've been manipulated, desensitized, to the point where people will justify the murder of innocents because it justify or ignore or look the other way because it fits with their their worldview. And I'm sick of it. I just implore people just to remember who we are. As Guardiola said, just remember that we are ultimately, and as Guardiola says, it's not a question about right or wrong or left or right. The second you get to the point and you're save the people first and worry about it later when you're killing people, like the children don't deserve it. These children don't deserve it and never will do. And I guess the point I'm making is, like, I understand that, I look at my own country. There's a real disenchantment from a large part of the population. I don't necessarily agree with all their views. I understand there's probably potentially a mature conversation to be had around immigration and the effects on certain communities who maybe have felt the change, so to speak, more than others. But what I don't agree is a demonization. I think we need to be mature as adults, but I don't think we're capable of it. But I think what we're getting at, for example, in Trump, is Trump, in my opinion, is the hard-handed fascist approach of just utter demonization and cutting it all out. And to me, that is, it's destructive. It paints an uglier picture for the world. It removes nuance, and it's look. I saw videos Guardiola mentioned ICE. I saw videos of ICE agents, and I don't give a fuck if you agree with immigration or not. This is irrelevant to that. I saw videos of ICE agents holding small children in their own front gardens, holding them, clearly scared young children, just to force the parents to come outside. Like, do you not understand how just sick that is? There's bully tactics. And I'm sorry, like the stuff with the guy who got shot for defending someone. I've witnessed it and watched it. I've removed emotion. I've removed emotion from this. I've watched those videos. I'm sorry, but they are clearly not. They clearly do not deserve murder. They don't. And if you think they do, you've just so far gone. Like this should not be. This should not be the automatic response to it. And I find it. I find it infuriating because I'm not even getting into the politics of it all. I find it infuriating that so many of us are so far gone that we can't see the wood from the trees. This is not a way to react. It's not a way to deal with anything. Like people just fucking dying because we voted this way or that way, and this is not even. This could happen under anything, you know. First of all, it's the Republicans now arguing with the Democrats, but then it'll be the Democrats and the Republicans. One day the shoe will shift, and then it will all change. And Guardiola's point, I guess, is, and I'm saying this because I feel like I need to get off the chest. I've been struggling recently. I've been struggling over the past week or two. I felt really irritable. Do you remember? And this is all very political. I'm going to get in trouble for it. I know I am. But do you remember when, years ago, the idea of, a shady cabal of billionaires who essentially are abusing kids and women was just conspiracy theorist nonsense? The idea, that's the kind of thing that a guy at the pub would say. It turns out it's actually just true. It's actually just true. There is billionaire elites of every political spectrum just abusing people, abusing children and women, and actually they're probably going to get away with it. And do you know why they're going to get away with it? Because we're all fucking so entrenched with our political views. Again, as always, and it's so fucking annoying. It's beyond annoying, it's depressing. And it makes me feel sick to my stomach, and I struggle immensely to just crack on my day and ignore it, because once again, we pay taxes to these people. And I look around where I live, and look around and see fucking, people angry. The roads a mess, unfixed. The cost of living absurd. Decent people just trying to crack on. All these fucking billionaires and millionaires just put a foot on our throat and fucking press down and laugh at us. And I'm sorry, it's people of either side of the political spectrum. It is. And if we can't just fucking drop off with political views for a second, I'm sorry, but if you truly believe that the leader of the free world is an innocent man in this, what are you doing, man? Do you believe it, or do you want to believe it? What? Come on. It's staring us in the face, and this is why I'm getting so frustrated about it. This willingness of all of us to just overlook so many things. And I'm just... none of this. I've not even stressed the political opinion here. I actually believe that there are some. I truly believe that there'll be people, in countries together, live together, that will never mesh. I actually believe that. I'm not stupid. I understand that some people, from some different backgrounds, will naturally butt heads, and that will cause societal issues. Is that controversial for me to say? No. I'm actually acknowledging that there are issues in society because I'm smart enough to know it and see it. There are elements of different cultures that will never sit nicely alongside each other. I think there's an element of just keep yourself to yourself sometimes, and I think that's absolutely fine. I truly, hand on heart, believe the world was never meant to be disconnected. I don't think it was to. I think our little stupid animal brains aren't capable of taking so much information in. I think it overloads us. I think it numbs us, and I think it makes us ripe for manipulation. And I find it tiring, and I try to unplug myself from it all. And I think the second we all accept, that there are big issues that we need to deal with, like fucking people, not animals, it comes a lot easier. And I know it's complex. I don't know the solution. I actually don't think we're capable of fixing it all. But what I do know, as Guardiola said, is that we are capable of caring about this. You can vote whichever way you want to, but if you're comfortable witnessing children, innocents, and they are fucking innocents, I'm sorry, dying in the name of your vote. What are we doing? And this is not me just saying it as a lefty liberal. This is me saying it as a dad, as a person who's just sick of the bullshit. I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it. Because it's just unnecessary. And Guardiola's press conference, and I've just been ranting there, but Guardiola's press conference, I'll address now some of the caveats. Someone said, do you not think it's hypocritical that, he's taking money from essentially the UAE, the owners, and being, paid, and then saying this? Yeah, I'm sure Guardiola would probably feel the same. Guardiola did mention Sudan. I I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm an expert on the geopolitical situation of Sudan and the UAE and Iraq and so on. I am not. I think that's absolutely fine. I am a dad with 2 young kids trying to pay my bills, crack on, and I can't absorb everything. I am not. I would argue, would you rather a person say nothing or say something? If saying nothing, no one get the message across. Saying something, you can call it hypocritical, but is it not arguably braver to say something given the people who pay you? That's the TV, so that's what's on the couch. It's a TV. I need to move. Would you not rather him say something? I would personally, and maybe there's an element of Guardiola as sort of has reached his limit. That's how I feel. I feel the same. There's a point, I think, where most people realise their tolerance of this stuff, how much they can ignore and crack on. It just sort of crumbles into nothingness. And this is how I feel right now. I truly, for the past week or two, I felt increasingly frustrated by what we just have to live with, And I think there's nothing wrong with admitting that. And I understand these things are complicated. And I think Guardiola does. But the fundamentals, what he's asking for, is when you watch these atrocities, how do people just switch off their brains to this? I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. I'm not stupid. I know we're not all going to be best friends. But I think we could do better. If we really could do if we wanted to. I think we could do. But I think we choose not to, because I think doing better is harder. And in fact, it's easier to be right or wrong. And I find it so tiring. I don't want my kids to grow up in this world like that. I just don't want them to. I want them to care, I want them to see these things and care. Like, does anyone fucking care anymore? Like, they do, obviously, but if you got to the point, and if you're watching this now, and you're going to vote this way or that, but if you get into the point where you go, that person deserved it, and they're getting shot because they stood up for someone who's getting pushed by an agent, like, you've taken the wrong step off some ledge there. I promise you. You've gone the wrong way. Like, there's a lot of people, I see a lot of people, a lot of the rhetoric around, immigration and so on, is because of the worldview. Maybe, the worldview doesn't align with their own, and they'll probably paint these people, as monsters or animals or, subhuman or whatever. How is this any different? Like, how is a man being executed on a path? And don't give me all this bullshit about, he had a gun. They took the gun off him. We've all seen the footage. He's allowed to have a gun on him. Don't. How can you watch that and not see the hypocrisy? I don't understand. I don't understand. And I think Guardiola's speech is extraordinary, because I think it shows that this man, I think he understands. I think he's smart enough. He spoke in broad strokes here. And I watched the press conference. There was a lot of emotion and a lot of honesty and sincerity in his voice. And I think he spoke in broad strokes intentionally, because he's saying it should be that simple. It should be that simple, that to kill tens of thousands of people and women and children is not great. And is awful, and I'm amazed that that's controversial. I think it takes an awful lot of bravery, actually, even as a millionaire, manager, to come out and do this, because he's going to get kickback against this, and he's going to. And I respect him for it. I absolutely do. You can talk about the hypocrisies of it. I'm sure there are. I'm sure Guardiola is aware of them. He said he's not a perfect being himself, and I think there's nothing wrong with not being perfect. We're all hypocrites. We're all using devices born out of exploitative labour. We all say things that are probably gross at times. We all do things that contradict whatever we say. We all do. We all make mistakes, but that doesn't mean we can't strive to sort of be better. And I just find it exhausting that this urge just to be decent will get snidiness, from people. I see snidiness from people in the comments who have absolutely nothing to offer to anything other than just sniping. And I saw one guy saying time of the month for Steve. Actually, mate, I'm just a good person who just wants to live a quiet life, I just want I want my kids to grow up in a world where people are just decent to each other. I want my kids to grow up in a world where people still care about people being fucking massacred. And no one does anymore. Like, not no one, but a lot of people don't anymore because we've become desensitized to it. And like, as Guardiola said as well, we can see now. For years, we couldn't see what's happening. Now it's all documented in front of us. We can see all these things. And if we can see all these things and we choose to not feel anything from it, then we've sort of been robbed of humanity, really, haven't we? I think Guardiola's press conference is extraordinary. And I think it matters. We can talk a lot about his intentions if you want to. I don't know. I watched it, and he's being honest there. He's been sincere, and I respect that. I do. I think it takes it's easy from a position of power like his, admittedly, but it's I think he's on the right side of decency. I think he wants to be, and we can talk about where City's own is and so on, with the human rights record in the Middle East and all this kind of stuff, aligned with Guardiola being paid. Guardiola took a job 10 years ago on the advice of his friends to with cheeky Farhan, people who trusted implicitly. Guardiola's probably changed an awful lot in 10, 11 years that he's been managing Manchester City. I think he maybe his views might have changed on this. Maybe he does. I don't know. I won't speak for him. But what I do know is people can be in positions of, apparent contradictory morals and still feel something strong. Because a lot of us work for a big evil corporation. I'm not saying Guardiola does, but I'm saying a lot of us do. Like, is everyone who works for fucking Microsoft a bad person because of everyone who works for Amazon a bad person because of fucking Bezos? No, of course not, Of course not. It doesn't work that way. I think there's a simplification. We're all just trying to get through. And I don't know what this video is even for. I think it's just a sort of bit of a rant for myself and as well, because I watched that press conference and I have been struggling a lot recently with the state of everything. I have. I just watch the attempt at political discourse just devolves nonsense. And I think what's happened to us, as Guardiola said, we've come so far. We've come so far as a species. We're capable of miraculous things. But are we any different to fucking 10,000 years ago? We're just people in caves, just fighting each other over fucking resources and scraps. All that evolution just to devolve over money, over billionaires looking for self-interest. And it's always about that. It's always over money. It's always over money. We know it is. I don't understand. I would implore some people to stop dropping their moral conscience because they voted a certain way. Of every side. I would really I think we have to be better for our kids in the world we're going into. I think we have to be. I'm sorry for getting a bit emotional during this. It's just I'm tired. I'm really tired. Metaphorically, literally. And it's something I do care about. I want my kids to grow up to be decent people. And I'm not saying Guardiola's perfect. I'm sure he isn't. And I think you'd be the first to admit that. But I think he does have a heart. And I'm not holding him up as this messiah or anything like that. I think he's obviously a flawed person. But who isn't a flawed person, But I think the constant strive to be better is something that we should all push through. I think we should all push for that. And I mean this with judgment, actually. If at any point you think there's a justification for the murder of children, you've lost. You've gone. And I don't think that's complicated. It just isn't. It's that simple. There is no black or white to that. It's that simple. I'm a dad and I stare at my son and I look at him. There is not the beauty of children. I'm going to tell you this now as a dad of the last 3 years. The beauty of children is you look at them and it's just beautiful. There's just so much purity in their eyes. They are a blank slate of optimism and opportunity and happiness. My son, all he wants to do is play. All he wants to do is be around people and interact. They aren't born evil. They don't know anything other than just decency. And that is the only thing that gives me hope. When not the only thing, but one of the main things, when I look at my kids and realise that these aren't born bad people, these children, they are just little blank slates that we fill up ourselves, and that people are happy. And there's someone that argued that they're born into terrorism. We'll kill them just in case. Just in case. What is wrong? We've strayed too far from decency. If that is honestly where you land, I promise you, you are on the wrong side of history at this. I sat, as a father, I could never press a button that would drop a bomb on children. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it because they're kids. They don't deserve that. And we get dragged into this by fucking millionaire adults, and I don't know. I think the internet has not helped us, mate. Tearing up in a fucking YouTube video about football. I don't know. I don't know what the point of this video is. It's a bit of a rant because I'm just tired. I'm just tired. Anyway. See you tonight, Newcastle, eh? Football. A terribly unimportant, stupid thing, eh? It's fun, though. Wouldn't it be nice if that's all we could talk about and just not worry about anything else? Cheers, guys. And I'm looking forward to all the abuse I'm going to get in comments. I don't think I deserve any of it. I don't think I do. I think I'm pretty honest. I think I'm being pretty fair about everything. I understand there's a lot of issues societally. I understand there's a lot of people going to blame a lot of people. Some of it fair for other things. But draw the line at some behaviour. Absolutely. And, I think people forget about that. They do. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.